How you doing, Ryan? Thanks so much for meeting.
Good. Hey, good to see you, man. I think I can hear you all right. I need to talk a little more so I can.
No, that's cool. I was trying to get it recorded online, but I don't seem to know how to, so I'm just going to record it with my video camera here, and we'll get in all the information.
Yeah, it sounds good, man.
How you doing?
Good, it's good to see you, man. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's good to be here. What do they call the Adam Nolan Show? The Adam Nolan Podcast?
This will be episode 13 of the Adam Nolan Show.
Beautiful. Unlucky 13.
No, we'll be lucky today.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see you, man. What time is it over there?
It's 10:30 p.m. here.
Yeah. Beautiful. Not too bad. Not too bad.
5:30 New Yorker time.
Yeah. I get usually I'm lucky, I have a day job that I usually get out about 3:30, maybe 4 p.m. So nice to have
fair enough.
The evening time to go. The evening time's nice to go play gigs. If I have them and hang out, take some downtime, enjoy before I have to get to bed for the next day.
Very good. And you've been busy lately, or so it seems anyway.
Yeah. So I was trying to remember, man. You came to the main drag. That's where I met you at.
That's where I met you, and I forget his name. He was the bass player, shaved head. What was his name? I have him on Instagram. I just can't. The name it's lost me.
I wonder if it was Mr. Michael Gilbert.
Yeah, it is him. Yeah, he's young.
So I must have. Yeah, he's a few years younger than me. So I must have been playing with him. And probably Jared Chase on drums, long blonde hair.
Yeah, I think so. That was a sick gig, man. Yeah,
it was good to have you there, man. I actually did my homework. I was just looking at you and Tim Byrne talking to each other.
Yeah,
and he's such a gem, man. I haven't caught him at Lowlands yet, but he's a cool figure to catch on interview for sure, man. It's great that you got that and listen to some records with him. I mean, that's some valuable time, man. Especially the saxophone player, man.
Yeah, definitely. Like when I couldn't find the video footage for ages, and that's why it took a whole year to release it. I couldn't find it anywhere. I had to go into the depths of my Google Drive and just go through each thing individually. And somehow I found it all today, and I was like, I'm putting that straight up.
I know. It's beautiful that you got that. I mean, you guys talked a lot about. It's great that you talked a little bit about his processes, compositionally.
Yeah.
Sorts of what sorts of things he does in his band to make that situation thrive. And just such an interesting guy, man. I really always loved his writing. And such a great alto player, man. So that's such a cool interview that you got.
I love his sound. Yeah, he's brilliant. I love that guy.
Yeah, such a huge sound, man.
Yeah, it is. It's like you just it's him straight away.
Yeah.
I love when you can tell who's playing without having to look.
Yeah, he's such a beautiful sound, man. Almost, another New York player who reminds me, I'm not sure if you've heard this alto player, Nick Lyons. So always,
I might have him on Facebook. I can't remember. That sounds familiar, Nick Lyons.
Another killing alto player, but cool. I played with him recently, a few weeks ago, and I was so inspired by his high end, his higher end, especially when you get to the palm keys. And Tim Byrne is just the same way, man. Like when he gets up there, everything just breathes so beautifully. It's I don't know, such an authentic, clear voice up there. It's so beautiful, man.
It's not easy to play up there.
Yeah, man. I feel like that's always something me and my teacher talked about that I always sort of struggled with.
Likewise.
And I feel like I'm always battling a little bit. Yeah. It's always a battle with that one.
What I've been doing lately is I've been back to tenor sax playing. But really just trying to get those high notes more clear, just finding other false fingering for them I was using a weird G way of playing high G before, and it just wasn't working anymore. And I was like, I have to change this. And then I just found one accidentally, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe this works. But now I have to learn the whole technique then to play a scale up that way. And
to find something that works up there, man. And it also like depends so much on the horn too, right? Like,
yeah,
I feel like I've changed horns at least 2 or 3 times,
right.
And it's like every time I switch, or even if I'm going to the horn that I keep in my apartment, usually out ready to practice, or it's like the horn I play on gigs, like I'm moving around those fingerings depending up there.
Yeah.
You know, finding something that like slots when you want it to, and also finding ones that have like a little bit of like a growl to them too is like really nice when you find like some like false-ish fingerings, right? Like those are so great. I always wish I played a little bit more tenor. I played tenor maybe like 2 or 3 times in my lifetime. I feel like every time I played it, the sound was always too tubby every time I played. You know, with my deficiency, the sound was always like never focused as I wanted it to be. So I've only played a few times in my life.
Yeah, I find like going from tenor to alto is a lot easier than going from alto to tenor as well. Generally, that's the way it goes. Like generally, I found just because of embouchures and stuff like that, I find when you're playing on a tenor and then you go to alto, it's just easier to play. I don't know, that's just me, but
absolutely.
I would find like playing alto would be a lot more of my natural instinct. But I like going on to tenor because I love the tone of a tenor and how it blends in with a band. But it depends, really. You could say that about alto.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I've always listened to more tenor players, like especially like when I was, you know, in a period of heavy development. I always transcribed more tenor players, and I always listened to more tenor players, but maybe that helped me a little bit because when I tried to play tenor, it was just never quite right.
Right.
Something was always a little bit off about it. It could have been set up. It could have been, you know, just not enough time on the instrument. But
yeah,
I played soprano. I always played on I don't have a soprano anymore. I always played on like a cheap soprano all through high school and college and the beginning of my, you know, professional career. I played on like a really cheap knockoff soprano, and I always liked it a lot.
I actually have one right here behind me.
It's beautiful.
I got it from where did I get it from? Alibaba.
Yes. So is that one of those Mark 6 copies?
I can't no, it's a Yanagisawa.
So it's interesting. Okay, which is basically interesting. Yeah. I'm trying to take a look at the keyword. Very interesting, man. So what I've been hearing is that these horns play. Maybe you could play a little bit for me.
I don't have
if it's not too late.
It doesn't work. It's actually broke. I'd love to play for you.
Maybe this defeats what I've been hearing about because I've heard these horns play pretty well. People have been telling me that they've been getting these Mark 6 tenor copies. I haven't heard soprano. People were telling me they have these tenor copies off of Alibaba and AliExpress and what's the other one? Temu. I don't think off of Temu, but maybe like these websites that they could get. Like, and I've seen the tenors go for about $300. I'm not sure how much that soprano was, but
this was $200, I think.
Yeah. And then, so it doesn't play at all.
It did play. It's just broke. It's been so long, man, since I played it. I don't even know what broke on it. I'd have to investigate. How did it play when you played it? I loved it. Now it was. I really loved it, but the tuning was difficult. As it normally is difficult on soprano to tune it, but this was super hard.
Is it a straight neck or is it straight neck? Right.
Straight neck, yeah.
And it's on there. It's not like a detachable. It's on there.
No, it's all there.
And you would think the tuning would be pretty decent. That's kind of interesting. Wow. I mean, I'm sure Barry's.
I don't think it was my own fault. Well, I've been guilty of being out of tune before.
No, I mean, listen, man. You know, soprano's a different beast, right? Especially when you get up there.
Truly is. Yeah. But I love
if you're playing legit, you know.
Say again.
If you're playing legit, you know, if you're playing any sort of classical or any sort of, you know, like written music, when you get up there, it's hard to sort of control.
This is kind of inspiring me to maybe get this fixed finally. I don't know how much.
Yeah, man.
I don't know, like, with the guy in Dublin, Paul Ryan. He's the main guy in Dublin to sell saxophones. Great guy, really cool. I really enjoy talking to him.
Oh, cool, man.
He's a cool dude. But I'll see what he thinks of it. Maybe he'll throw it in the bin and just tell me to get a real one.
Yeah. Maybe when you make it back to New York, you could bring the horn and see if someone in New York will do it for,
yeah.
If you make it back to New York. Because, I had a great repairman here, but there's so many, man. There's so many good techs here.
Really? Okay, that's cool too.
Yeah, there's so many good techs. Especially around, like, a lot of the shops are around the Manhattan area, like near Times Square. There's a lot of shops over there. There's a few.
Right, okay, cool.
And there's good places.
Are you based in Brooklyn or Manhattan?
I'm in Queens, actually.
Oh, are you?
I'm up in Queens. Yeah, I'm in Queens. Cool. I just moved here. I moved here a little over a year ago now. I used to live in Uptown Manhattan for a few years when I moved back to New York.
Cool.
So I lived uptown on 135th Street, and then I moved to here in Queens about not exactly a year and a half, maybe a year and a half ago now.
Right.
But it's been great. I love it out here, man. There's actually a lot of great little venues for music that people don't realize about.
Right. Yeah.
It's nothing. I mean,
could you educate me on that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's nothing compared to the Williamsburg, Bushwick, Ridgewood, sort of like all the venues there, especially for, free music.
Yeah.
And then the places like in Lower Manhattan, like Downtown Music Gallery, Nulu.
I never got a chance to go down to Downtown Music Gallery, but that's where you play a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, I just played there. I played there last week with the great Mark Edwards on drums. We played a great duo show. I mean, that's one of the best places to see music. But
cool.
There's so many great places, man. Like, there's so many venues scattered throughout the city.
I only got to know a few, you see, because for me, when I arrived in the Manhattan area, and that's where I stayed. But when, for me, I was kind of like completely new to it all. I heard different ideas. I knew Brian Castan from online and chatting to him.
Cool, yeah.
And just chatting to him and stuff like that. But Brooklyn is what showed up in my life to find the best free jazz stuff. Brooklyn. It just keeps saying Brooklyn.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's where a lot of the places are for great music.
Yeah, it's a really cool place. I could see myself living there.
Yeah. Especially if you move back here. Problem is the rent is so many places rent is craziness there, man.
Yeah.
There's definitely some spots still that you could get maybe a little bit cheaper, but Queens is definitely quiet. I mean, when I practice in my apartment, I practice pretty quietly. Luckily, I'm in a work situation that lets me like practice at work, basically, which is super nice.
Cool.
I play trumpet here, and I have like a practice mute in, basically, which is nice. But I play music here. I have a speaker system set up. I have a acoustic guitar, keyboard and stuff. So I play music in here. I shed and stuff, and it's not too much of a hassle for anyone.
Cool.
But a lot of families out here,
Yeah. I found for myself, what I ended up doing a lot was just, instead of playing in the house and wrecking the neighbours' heads, I would just go. I would just go busking.
Go play somewhere.
Just practice while I'm busking. Paid practice.
Yeah, no, it's great, man. Like I take my horn so many different places and play. When I used to live uptown, one of my favorite places was like right under. I'm not sure if you were uptown at all, but there's this Grant Memorial up there.
Okay.
The U.S. President Grant. It's like basically where he was buried.
No, I wasn't.
And there's a little underpass over there. Anyway, I used to take my horn up there, there's a little tunnel over there, basically.
Cool.
With this big high arch, and I used to go to graduate school up there. And I used to take my horn between classes or like when I had a break and just just like go practice in the outdoors, especially when it was cold out, like in the winter time.
Cool.
So I played with the wind. I played out there for a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Wow.
That was the place to play, man. I used to shed out there all the time. And there were some joggers, but not really like, definitely no people coming to like listen to the music.
Yeah.
It was just like a cool place to shed. And then recently I've just been taking my horn, like some of my favorite places, like all the way uptown. It's this place called like Fort Tryon Park. And I just, it's beautiful. You look over the water and it's very quiet.
Cool.
And I take my horn up there, and I like to play up there, man. It's so beautiful. But I like to play everywhere, man. Like I'm from Long Island.
Okay, cool.
And I grew up going to the beach and stuff, so
yeah.
Like I love the outdoors. I like to take my like horn outdoors. Part of the reason why I moved up to Queens, so I have a little backyard out here.
Lovely.
So it's just super nice. I'm a big proponent of the outdoors, man. I hear Ireland is so beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Like the scenery, I would definitely love to go visit.
Be great to have you over sometime. If it was something I could organise, maybe it could be in the future. We'll leave it.
Yeah, man, we could definitely figure something out to get some exchange, get some musicians over there, man.
Yeah, because there's great players over here as well. Like obviously we don't have much free jazzers.
Yeah, but I'm sure. I mean, you're representative of. There's people over there that are fans of the music, and that's enough.
Yeah, for sure. And it is coming, like, from my side of things, it seems like it's building up now a lot more.
Yeah.
I guess I've just put so much time and work into it, and now I'm kind of established as the free jazz sax player guy in Kilkenny, like, so they would know, like, a lot of the jazz musicians, they know me as that guy now, the guy that doesn't play standards.
Yeah.
Just play free jazz the whole time, and get different musicians, like whether they're from all kinds of backgrounds of straight ahead playing, bebop, etc. I still get them up, and we do one take kind of improvisation albums, and that's the fun of it. That's the beauty of it, and it's great to have them,
record as much as you can and get it out there. You know what I mean? I mean, because people are gonna love it. Like, I mean, you might see Gauchi while you're over here. Yeah. Like, man, he records so much stuff and gets it out there. And man, like, people, especially overseas, where I feel like there's some concentration of real fans of the music, like Japan, Germany, places like that. Like, but plenty of places, man. Like, people really listen to the music, man. There's people from. I mean, you're a prime example, man. People coming overseas all the time that are here for a week, here for a few weeks, and they're just like, at Downtown Music Gallery, I see it all the time, man. Like, cats come through that are just, they're here for a few weeks from Berlin, or they're here from, anywhere, honestly. And they want to come hear the music. They're here from the UK, or they're here from Spain, and they just want to come. They heard, like, America's like New York's a great place for jazz music, and they come check out, like, the main drag or Downtown Music Gallery, or like somewhere like Falls, where there's like some killing straight ahead a lot of the time, like
great, yeah.
It's great, man. It's beautiful that like people come and they really check out the music, man. Like,
yeah,
New York's interesting in that way. Like, you just never know.
It's like a pilgrimage.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting. I was just talking a few weeks ago with this. I was on a gig with someone, and it's like, you really never know. I really never have a sense of if there's going to be like 10 people at a gig, or if there's going to be like 100 people at a gig. Like, I could just never tell. Like, and sometimes I'll I'll underdress for a gig. Like, I'll be like, oh, it's whatever. Like, I'll show up a little late. You know what I mean? And then there's going to be like, a shit ton of people there, right? And then it's the opposite, where I have a hit where I've like been posting on social media every few weeks. So like, everyone come through, and there's not that many people there, and it's still fun. You know what I mean? It's still cool. Yeah. Like, I'm not really a big, like, I don't really, like, I like, it's, obviously it's great to have people there sharing in the music, but for me, it's like, that doesn't affect whether I'm going to have a good time on a gig.
Yeah. That's
and I
the
feel
way
like
to
that
be.
really, no, I mean, and listen, you sort of have to be, playing this music a lot of the time, but You know, and then when you get people that, you know, come in off the street because they heard the music and they're like, I'm just checking out music for the first time. You have any recommendations for me? Man, that shit is so cool, dude.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it's a pleasure.
People like, it's a pleasure, man. It is a pleasure. And it's like, you know, it's really one of the blessings of like playing music, man. Like, honestly.
Especially this kind of music, you know, when you can be,
it's awesome.
Music that's so honest and so like out there and so personal, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, people get into it. You're right, dude. Like, people, it can really speak to people. I feel like, you know, through different ways.
Yeah,
and I think how it's so interesting that, you know, I think as a player, you know, and you could sort of call my music whatever you want, but as a player of insert whatever music I play, right? Like, I think the most interesting audience member to me, it's like the first time listener, like someone who's like hearing the music for the first time.
Yeah. Watching their eyes glisten.
Yeah. And like you just get different reactions out of people, man. You get people that are like, I wasn't really into it, but I could like see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And you get people that are like, I've never heard it and I'm super into it. And I think it's somewhat rare that you get people that are like, I really don't like, I can't really find anything redeeming about it. Like, I think most of the time people find something that they could latch on to.
Yeah, you know? Definitely. Like, it's the energy of it, I think, as well, just captivates people, like, you know, and they might not understand what's happening, like, but they can just kind of sit back there and just see the sweaty heads on the musicians and just be like, there's something intense going on here. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm going to keep listening till I find out, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's this analogy I use a lot, but I had a professor when I was in graduate school talk about how he would watch the World Cup. It was when the World Cup was going on, maybe I don't know, maybe a year ago now, or any sort of soccer, football. And he was talking about how he would, you know, he wasn't really a fan of any particular country, but he would cry every time he watched like a team win. It was just like the emotional release. I'm not sure if you're like a football fan, but it's just like I started to get into it recently in like the past year.
Right.
It's like, to me, it's just like, it's the same with the music. It's like, even if you're not a fan and you don't really like, you feel like you don't understand it, it's like the emotional release of like watching people going through that like catharsis is like so like, it could be emotional. Like it could be like
it's captivating
experience for people. Yeah, captivating. It always reminds me of like the crying during the soccer moment, you know, because it's like maybe I don't fully understand, like I'm not a player, but it's just like that release, like that outlet, that like rush of like emotion. It's like, I don't know, it's like that's like therapeutic for people to experience, I think.
For
you
sure.
know, especially the player of the music. I mean, you know this, you know, this is why you play it, but it's like, you know,
I found when I did that record, Are You Free, with Brian and James Paul Nadian.
Nice, yeah.
Do you know James?
James, yeah, man. I've known James since I was. So James grew up about like 20 minutes from me, man.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he's a few years younger than me. He was always like a super smoking player, man. But I've known James since he was about like 18.
Really?
And since I was about maybe like 20. Yeah, man. He was always like, I mean, the first time I ever played with him, I was like, you know, he was a serious player. He's always been a super serious player. He's always been well respected by like all his peers, man. Also just like a really, I mean, I'm sure you know this from knowing him. He's a really like all around great dude.
Yeah, he's cool out, yeah.
Yeah, just a really nice guy, man. So I've known him for a long time, man. And he could like, I think the most recent time I played with him was about 6 months ago, maybe. Cool. Sort of, we played tunes actually. It's the first time I've probably played tunes with him in quite some years, maybe ever, honestly. And we played, but there were this alto player Elijah Schiffer's tunes. And they're not super straight ahead. Some of them are boppy, but he writes great tunes. But yeah, he was like right on it, man, with all the hits and stuff. Like,
James
had a way of like floating in and out of the time and just being like like I remember like his like push on the bandstand was like not to be like underestimated, man. Like it was super. I mean, you played with him, but he's just like a force, dude.
Yeah.
That was, we used to call him back in the day, Hurricane Canadian.
Really?
Well, shout out. That's what Stephen Gauci liked to call him.
Wow. That's good.
Hurricane Canadian, because when he plays, it's just like a freaking hurricane, man. He's like all over the set, you know?
Yeah. That's what I loved about, like, when I got chatting to him before the recording session, and I think it was before the recording session we were chatting, and I was talking about Kaoru Abe.
Oh yeah, cool.
And like his stuff, like, and all this kind of mad Japanese free jazz stuff, and straight away, like, James knew it, and I was like, God, if I mentioned that to most people in Ireland, no one would have an idea, like, who the hell this guy is.
Dude, he knows so much about the music, man.
Yeah.
And so you know about his name, he was also like he was like named after the Beatles, James Paul.
Okay, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Paul was after Paul McCartney.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, man, he's like, he knows so much about the music, though. That's just to say that, like, he knows about, like he knows free jazz, but I know he knows, like, a lot about, like, rock music and, like...
Yeah, he's kind of...
prog
he likes his prog
and
metal.
He knows about a lot of music, man. Yeah, metal music. He knows a lot about music, man. Like,
that's cool.
And he's, like, super, like... You know what I mean? Like, he's so invested in the music, man. Like, he'll play with everyone.
Yeah.
Like, he's a real steward of the music, for sure.
I wanted to ask, so, in your own words, what would be your philosophy when it comes to improvisation? How would you see it? You can. It's a deep question, but you can branch out as much as you want with it.
You know, it's an interesting one. I don't know if you know the guitar player, also a great guitar player, man, Gian Perez.
I don't know.
But, you know, he probably moved to New York maybe a year or two ago, but also a really nice guy, like such a great player. And we were talking about this recently, like, because we were talking about people like James who are like really great, like, again, like stewards of the music, play with a lot of different people, like understand a lot of different types of music. I basically, my answer to this is what I said to Gian, like, I wish that I considered myself like an original voice, you know what I mean? Like, I wish I considered myself like a true innovator of the music, but I almost feel like, and I know this is gonna like sound like it has a negative connotation, I feel like come from more of the jazz tradition of, I feel like a student of the music, and I almost feel like, I'm not gonna say like I feel like a replicator a lot of the time, but I do feel like really my music is just pulling from so many different places.
But that's like everyone.
Yeah, and it's just a synthesis, right? Like, it's just a synthesis.
Yeah. Don't beat yourself up.
But I don't... No, of course, right? But again, like, I feel like it comes from the jazz place of, like, I consider myself, like, first and foremost, like, a student of Coltrane. Like, he is, like, to me, like, number one. He's always going to be number one. Like, he's my top player, right? So... For me, and like, again, there's like a billion players I admire, but he's always going to be like a guy that I go back to.
Cool.
Especially just because like he was the one that like got me into the music when I was younger. I had a teacher that like really turned me on to him. And to me, like my philosophy of the music is just like I'm inspired by like all the things around me. You know what I mean? Like I'm inspired by the people I play with, and like I'm inspired by the record I was listening to, like on the way to wherever I'm going. You know. I'm inspired by like how I'm feeling that day, and like when I was playing with Mark Edwards last week, I was inspired by like I felt like he was like pushing me like density wise on the bandstand, and like I was a little sick, and like I'm still a little sick and like not feeling super great, and he was like really pushing me like notes wise to like just play like dense and like thick, and I was like that inspires me, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, that to me is the essence of like the music. It's like you're just grabbing from everything to create like. It's not something like I don't want to say it's like original. It is original because it's like in the moment and it's like spontaneous, right? But to me, it's just like such a practice of pulling from everything that it doesn't feel like an original product. I mean, I guess it is, but you get what I'm saying? Like the practice of pulling from other stuff is more the focus rather than the actual product. If that makes sense. That's a long-winded way to answer your question. A super long-winded way.
No, I get you. I understand where you're coming from. But you do seem like you've kind of done a lot of self-study. From the clips I've seen of you playing and stuff like that, it seems like, you're looking for something when you're playing.
Yeah, of course. I'm reaching for something.
You're reaching for something, and I think that's always something that's kind of original in musicians, especially free jazz musicians, because I was listening to who was I listening to the other day? I was listening to Micah Brecker, and obviously he's one of the greats. He's absolutely amazing. But when I listen, sometimes I'm like, this doesn't have free jazz in it. To me, you know what I mean?
The spirit of it, right?
It doesn't have that same thing. It's like where you listen to Caro Abbey, and that's like balls to the wall, straight up on the edge of the universe. Whereas,
No, it's always going to be a push, man. You're right. Like it's a part of that. That's why I feel like I like to call my music free jazz. It is like it's part of that tradition of it is it's always a push for something, whether it's like a push for like unity around us or a push for like some higher power or like some form of communication, like whatever it is a push for, it is a strive. Like you see me, like I'm a big guy, like I'm sweating my balls off when I play usually, you know what I mean? I'm pushing for something, I'm breaking reeds a lot of the time, trying to get somewhere,
No, that's awesome. I love it. I love that. And is there any particular records that you've played on that you would like to talk about?
That's a good question, man. You could always find me I have a few records on Spotify. I have on streaming, Apple Music, all that sort of stuff. I have a few improvised music records, some live improvised music. I have 2 electronic records that I did during COVID that are also on streaming. It's hard to keep track, but I definitely have some stuff.
Yeah, you seem
soon.
To be more active in playing live than recording. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Recording is so cost preventative these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's such a I love to record, and it's great to get a great band into the studio, but live is great for me because I get done from work, grab my horn, go meet up with some friends, play some great music.
Living in the moment.
Yeah, living in the moment. Get there, get to go out after work, do something. Play some music, and then the thing is everyone sort of expects there's gonna be very little money involved. And you give what you could give to people, especially if you're hiring people for your band, but everyone knows there's gonna be no money to be made. And you play, and sometimes you bootleg it, I like to record a little bit, and we'll see if any of that stuff actually makes it out. But you record, and then it's great to play live, though. It's awesome to play live, man.
That's what I'm getting into more lately. Before, I used to be all about recording, and now I find the more I've practiced, the more I want to show that stuff off live,
Yeah. That's a great jazz tradition. It's working stuff out in the shed and then going to show people.
Yeah, for sure. Look what I came up with.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. That's great. Yeah. I think the next thing I would record would be I'm writing a bunch of songs on acoustic guitar.
Cool.
Some more folk type songs. So
cool. Really cool.
If I record,
I'd love to hear that.
If I record, it'll definitely be some of that stuff. Yeah, I just gotta wait till I have enough tunes done. I think I have 5 or 6 done, so that'd be enough soon. Maybe thinking maybe 9 or 10, and then I'll start. I have some demos going. So
cool, man. Yeah, no, I'd love to hear all that stuff because I was checking out. I was looking for more of your stuff, but you have MailChimp as your main thing on Instagram. What
Yeah.
what I would recommend is like maybe just have that as one link in a link tree.
Oh, that's a good point, man. And then I could have like, so if you go to my YouTube and stuff, you get me on Spotify and YouTube and all that type of stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a good move, man.
Yeah,
I'll definitely do that.
It wouldn't do any harm.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't, right? Like anyone trying to check my music out, you know?
Yeah, but like I'll put links to your stuff after this video anyway.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
No worries at all. Least I can do. You know, it's great to have you here, man. You know.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you, dude. I hope you stay well. Your return to New York is much what's the word I'm looking for? Much anticipated.
I can't wait to go back again.
You come back, we'll happy to have you.
Yeah, I'd love to go back. Yeah, this time as well. Man. This time I would have gigs lined up a lot more, and
we should play. We could play duo.
Yeah,
do whatever.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Love to, man.
In the downtown music gallery. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely set something up, man.
Awesome.
Definitely play.
Well, thanks so much for your time, man. I think we're going to.
I was going to talk to you, man.
I think we're going to call because the Zoom is going to go out in a few minutes.
I know worries.
But it's been a pleasure having you, and this video will be up maybe tomorrow or the day after.
Oh, cool, man. And you could keep whatever, cut whatever. I'm not offended by either way. So
no, we'll keep it as it is. I think.
Yeah, beautiful, man.
Keeps it free jazz.
Yeah. Beautiful, dude. Awesome.
Thanks so much, Ryan.
Yeah, it's good talking to you, man.
Take care. Right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care. I'll check it out when it comes out, all right?
Sound, buddy. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And that was Ryan Siegel, everyone.